We find this work to save our marriage, but we end up saving ourselves, which is a prerequisite for version 2.0 of any relationship.
I'm gonna tell you about a woman whose heart is sunshine, whose body burned hot. I'm gonna tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves that she cares.
Welcome to the C Note Show, gentlemen, brought to you by Great Men Move Mountains and greatmenmovemountains.com. It is 11:02 here, Thursday, July 16th, 2020. And you are here because you heard, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, or I want space, or I want a divorce, or you're worried about the fear of divorce. That's how we find this work as men. And as I've said a few times on this show, Cynthia, we find this work to save our marriage, but we end up saving ourselves, which is a prerequisite for version 2.0 of any relationship. It's a prerequisite of saving any marriage or any relationship is to have that fire within ourselves, to find the three forms of confidence, the what to do, how to do it, and the mindsets, the behavioral, emotional, and spiritual. And I'm professional coach Jeff Allen, professional coach Miss Cynthia Cruz, and Cynthia is the only woman allowed in this show. Welcome to the show, Cynthia.
Hi, good morning, and happy Thursday to you. This has been an incredible week, and I just every day have been so honored to sit here on this couch with you and with all of you. Thank you as always, and please know that in every moment I am so grateful to be invited and given a place to sit here with this tribe. That's incredible, and it's a gift, and I truly see all of you as very important, grounded, incredible examples of masculinity. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, absolutely. We are here for you. I wish I had a group like this every single day in 2015 when I went through the shit, when I felt like I was in free fall off of the cliff. You know, when my spouse at the time told me that everything was my fault and I was the bad guy. And like I say, she was giving me the pirate bad guy costume within the Shakespearean tragedy of our lives at the time. And back then, I didn't know that I could opt out of that. I didn't know that I didn't have to accept the pirate costume. I didn't know that I could create my own play, my own Shakespearean play. And that could be an adventure or a comedy or a drama. It didn't have to be a tragedy. And so you're here in this metaphor to create your own fucking life, to write the next chapter of your life one way or the other, whether it's with her, whether it's kicking ass in your own self and how to do that, or whether it's with the next woman in your life or the next phase of your life. That's why you're here. You're here to ultimately get more hugs, kisses, passion, love, sex, and affection in your life, whether hopefully it's with your current spouse or just in general, because you know you're not going to live a passionless life. You are rising into the man that you know that you become. So whether you rose this morning without trying, or you came to this show because you intended to be here, we'd love to have you. Whether it's your first show or your 65th show, 64th show here with us, we'd love to have you guys here. This tribe is for you. It's for you to connect live over private chat or here in the group chat, of course, to ask questions or share your experience. Raise your hand in Zoom participant section to come in and share a 30-second or a 2-minute question or a scenario, or you're here to be on our private Facebook forum of almost 130 men now, growing every single day. So cool. So we start off with comedy, we dive into the shit, and then we bounce up with a perspective and a plan. And Cynthia, one thing I wanted to emphasize, I was thinking about this morning as we were curating the show, is that the comedy, the going into vulnerability, and then the having the plan with a perspective in the world is a strategy of how to be a grounded, mojo-filled, confident man, right? I can play with life, and if it's not going well, then I dive into vulnerability, open my chest, open my heart, be vulnerable with my emotions, and then have a plan of what I'm doing next as a man. I don't just drown in the bottom of the pool in my vulnerability, right? And hope someone saves me. That I have a perspective of what's my mindset, what are the skills, what are the emotional frameworks I want to have, and what's my plan, even just for the next 5 minutes, or the next 1 month or 1 year or 5 years of my life.
Yeah.
So how does that hit you when I say that even the way we structure the show like that is a way for a man to show up in his relationship and in life so that she, is attracted to him sexually, emotionally, physically?
Yeah, well, a couple of things hit me, but I guess what I was remembering is maybe even yesterday in the kitchen, I I was just going into like a ruminating little kind of stressed out place and very much in my mind. And you came up next to me and you had never done this before. And you just kind of like bumped me on the shoulder. We're like, hey, how's it going? And that kind of playfulness was like, it just made me like smile and totally put me back in my body. And it actually helped me do that emotional shift of like playfulness and like, oh, I was feeling stressed about this because, and then this is what I'm going to do about it. So I found that incredibly not only powerful for me, but attractive. And I very much appreciated that in a relationship with you. So.
Oh, thank you so much. Fantastic. Yeah. That's a great segue. Today we have another clip from the company is Fearless. Cynthia found this company yesterday when we're doing research for videos. I don't know the gentleman's name yet.
Fearless.
Yeah. My bad for not researching his name just yet, but we love to curate stuff for you here. I'm never, let's say, afraid to bring in other coaches, thinking that, the world is a scarce place. I don't have a scarcity mindset. I always try to have and lean into having a growth mindset and an abundance mindset. And on that realm, if you guys want curation from the best shit that we see, that's what this show is. We don't hide anything. I'm not trying to hide the company name or anything like that. I'm not afraid if you're going to go, give him business. Great. He has events. If this connects with you, awesome. We have events too. We're almost full up with our small group coaching that's going to launch the beginning of August. We have one more spot as it is. Dennis Collins, you guys know from the show, is another professional coach in the Good Guys to Great Men tribe. I'm an affiliate with Steve Horseman and Good Guys to Great Men. He and I do a men's coaching and an advanced pistol defense training retreat every March. We're already looking at fucking palaces of Airbnbs we're renting for March in Phoenix, Arizona. It's going to be our second year doing pistol defense training. It's a kick-ass time. We do that half of the time. And the other half, it's men's work. Sit down, we connect, we do advanced work like this. How to be the sexual man you want in the world. How to show up. How to get through your fucking spiritual wounds. Like these things that maybe you weren't even aware of. So on that note, I want to share a question from the forum, and then we'll go into some comedy for today. The comedy is, if you don't have a phone case, you are a monster. You're a terrible monster if you don't have a phone case on your phone. So that's going to be the comedy in a minute. So here we do our daily work as men. Our theme of this week is when to and how to ask for more love and sex and affection. Right? And so let's get into our question of the day, our scenario of the day, and then we'll bounce into some comedy. So here's the first one I want to start with. We have 3 amazing scenarios today from the forum. You guys are incredible. If we can get to them today, that's great. Otherwise, it'll cliffhanger until tomorrow. But here's the first one. What is sex for anyway? What does sex do for you that helps you show up as a man of God, a husband, a father, and a professional? Once you know that, communicate that with her when the time is right. How would being more of yourself as a man, more of who you are, help those closest to you? How about your children? Would you want them to learn about love by watching you too right now, as opposed to when you're loving and caring for each other? So I think he's insinuating, if you're fighting, do you want your children to learn from that, or do they want you to learn from you being more of the grounded masculine man that's within you that you know you want to be, and the loving, open-hearted man, vulnerable man that you know you want to be? That's a phenomenal question. And what does sex do for you that helps you show up as a man of God and a man as a husband and a father? And so of God could mean whatever that spiritually means to you, however you show up in the world. And we've talked about that in the show. Spiritually, right? It doesn't have to be God or the universe or from within you. What is that higher calling? How are you driving yourself in the world? And from someone who grew up without religion, that's a phenomenal question I've had to ask myself as an adult. Share with us for a moment. Did you grow up with religion when you were a child, Cynthia?
Yes, it was very low key. Like I went to a congregational church. So I know if you're someone who's practiced a more, like Catholicism or another kind of religion, the congregational church is more of, it's like the goldfish cracker version. It's like, oh, you're fine.
You're fine. You're fine.
But I have to admit that was the first place I felt that energy I would now refer to as kind of that sacred, grounded, warm masculinity that I feel here. And that's my biggest impression growing up. And then I would often, I grew up in, small town New Hampshire. So my church was I'd go out and walk in the woods and I just talk things out. And to me, there was the greatest, connection there. And I'd find these secret hidden pools in the woods or little enclaves in the trees and just sit and be still. So there was something that was pulling on me that I just wanted to sit and be with and to talk to. And that was what was important to me. So.
Thank you. Yeah, from what you shared with me, that was your first, like you just said, experiences of masculinity, a bigger frame of providing and protecting, whether it's particularly religious.
Yeah, I would feel that even sitting in a pine tree, I'd go and I'd just sit on this one limb of a pine tree and look out on a field. And that what I felt doing that is what I feel here.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Well, let's jump into some comedy. So you felt provided for and protected in the pine tree. And what happens if you don't protect your phone case or your phone without a case? You're an absolute monster. And that's what our comedy is for right now.
Chap, I've heard it with my own ears, okay?
No, fine.
I promise you.
I'm looking it up.
Okay.
Can birds cough?
Oh my God, your phone doesn't have a case.
Yeah, I know. So?
I'm here for protective services. I want to speak to Mr. Mike Trapp about a caseless phone.
Yeah, he's right here. Shit, when I think about what that phone must have been through.
Protective services? Hey!
It's gonna be okay.
Hey, the way I take care of my phone is my business.
And now it's my business because this looks like negligence to me. Just another deadbeat who's too focused on his own life to protect the small, fragile one in his care.
Negligence? It just doesn't have a case. It's fine.
Got any scratches or dents you want to show me, bud?
Okay, can you stop harassing it? Come on, phone, let's get out of here.
I know your type. You think you're gonna live forever?
No.
Cruising 90 down the highway, seatbelt off, wind in your hair, booze in your brain.
No.
You wanna fuck your own life up, pal? You go right ahead! But you got a phone now! You gotta think of your phone!
Think of the phone! Don't you love it?
Yes, I love my phone. I love a lot of things about it. I love how thin it is.
Then make it thicker.
I love how responsive the touchscreen is.
Then cover the screen with plastic.
I love how carefully it was designed.
Then hide that design under a big yellow Minions case.
No. Phone shouldn't have to live like this.
You don't need to listen to them yelling.
You take care of your phone the way you want, and I'll take care of mine the way I want.
But you're not taking care of it. The world is a dangerous place, and you need to protect this.
I am
Let
protecting.
me paint you a little picture.
God, no.
You come home after a long day, you're tired. You got your phone in your hand as you walk into the house. You think, hey, maybe I'll just toss it on the coffee table.
See, I wouldn't do
Just
that.
toss it right over there. Whoop, right onto the table. When all of a sudden, bam! Bet you suddenly wish you had 2 inches of all-American vulcanized rubber around the most valuable thing you own!
No, because I wouldn't toss it because it doesn't have a case.
Let me tell you a story.
God fucking damn it.
I know this guy. A lot like you, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. A lot like you. He's out with his friends at a bar. He's got his phone, no case, just out on the table.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there. I would not put my phone on a table.
Well, you gotta take it out of your pocket.
Yeah, it's so bulky.
It's not bulky because it doesn't have a case.
No need to be embarrassed.
Yeah, we all do it.
I don't. Look, my
Anyway,
phone is always
so
either in
this
my
guy, he's
pocket,
having a
in a
great time,
death
but
grip
wouldn't
in
you
my
know it?
hands,
Boop,
or
just knocks
charging
over
next
that
to my
beer.
bed. Why would
Spills
it need
all
to be
over the
anywhere else?
table.
How hard
Doesn't
is it
fall
to
directly
not
on the
drop
phone, but look
something
at
you
this.
know
Drip, drip,
is
drip.
incredibly
Water
expensive?
damage, instant death! Buddy, you gotta put on a centimeter of plastic around that phone so you can toss it around with your friends. You can crack walnuts with it. You can take it into the pool just like the rest of us decent folks who know how to protect something precious!
Do you like the cocoa?
I don't want to make my phone objectively worse for just a little bit more security.
Then I'm gonna have to take it into protective custody.
Fine. Fine, I'll put a case on it.
We're gonna get you a case, okay? You're gonna be okay.
Oh!
That was your fault! No, that was all. If you had a case on that,
You
nothing would have
dropped it.
happened.
How is it my fault?
Because if you had a case on it, it wouldn't have.
Not again!
Because I don't drop my phone.
You had a
Oh my gosh. My son didn't have a case on his phone for a while. It made me nervous. I don't know. I saw Kent laughing. I'm not sure how many of you guys have either not had a case on your brand new phone. And it's like,
That is the look.
oh my God, this is so expensive. I have to pay $50 more for a fucking case for this thing. Yeah. Well, so something that really hit me during that was there's a lot of judgment from outside of how he was conducting his life. And then he felt pressured, incredibly pressured to conform into what those expectations were. He was really solid about himself. And it took, 2.5 minutes for him to kind of change his belief or cave into that social pressure. And I'm wondering, so I'm going to jump back to this question here today, in that instance of what have we steeped ourselves in as far as belief in the world with what we want in a relationship, who should validate us. I had a call last night with a man that's really similar to this poster he said, I'm tired of being the dude. I'm tired of being the dude and having to lead and make all the decisions.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you are the dude. And so that's something that was something that I really needed to expand with him, that I went through in the past of, wow, I really must take a lot more responsibility in my relationship than I originally expected I would have to. Mm-hmm. And so that's a growth process for us. And this guy with his phone, he's taking full responsibility, but he felt like he needed to cave into all the pressure. And so what kind of pressures are around us? What are our familial expectations, our family's expectations, our culture's expectations, which we talked about? And then we're going to bounce around. I'm going to dive into some really in-your-face shit here in a few minutes. I want to read this first up. Not feeling like a great man this morning. I feel alone. I live with a woman I love, but she has her own struggles. I'm struggling to connect with her right now. Keep trying to do my own thing. When things I feel distant, I opt for sleeping on the couch. I guess I'm feeling needy right now and don't want to draw her into that. I miss how we used to connect and I fear growing apart. I feel like it's depressing and I catch myself obsessing. I've been trying to spend more time with the guys between COVID and people's schedules as a challenge. The real truth is, though, I struggle to follow through with things I commit to that are for me. I clean the house daily, I work, I do well at my job, I cook and serve my partner, I build the projects that are important to her or the kids. When it comes to golf, I bail on myself. When it comes to working on my own projects in my shop, I put them off. My shop is a mess right now. I don't know why I can find the time to serve others in my life, but I can't even find the energy to serve myself. I woke on the couch at 3 a.m. this morning. I went to the bedroom. I laid down beside her and held her. She stirred and asked if I was okay. I said, yeah, just feeling a bit lonely. And she said, okay, and fell back to sleep in the same breath. I don't know what to do with myself. So Cynthia, what are you hearing? What are you hearing there? There was a litany of phenomenal responses, supportive, pointing some things out, giving him a third-party perspective. We have one of those responses here. There's phenomenal support from the men, first of all. And I love how you always make sure that we honor the men and support of each other and asking these questions. And this is fantastic. What are you seeing as far as what looks like him wanting validation from outside sources and not continuing to validate his own self? And he even admits that he bails on himself, right? And yet he's now still untethered in the world. So what are you feeling? What are you hearing when you read that post, when you hear that?
Oh, well, the very human need, I think, in all of us to have us reflected back to us, to have people in our life say, thank you for what you're giving, doing, providing. So I was feeling into, there's energy there and what he can do and what he can give. And there's probably, because there's like the lack of verbal appreciation and connection in the relationship, it's going into a place of, I'm really not worth this. I'm not worthy. My value is not 100%. And so if I do all these outside actions, they'll help fill that kind of hole in my bucket that I'm not, valuable as a man, a partner, a husband. And that again makes sense. But if we're constantly kind of losing that energy out of our bucket and it's not coming in, we don't have the energy to then go do things for ourselves, because it feels like we're kind of stuck trying to do for others and there's nothing left for ourselves.
So let me give you some feedback. As soon as you started talking there, I felt like you were framed within your own self, as if this man is not connecting. Almost he's doing these things in an attempt to get validation from his own self or to check boxes. And when you were answering, it didn't feel like you were connected with him, right? And so I'm wondering, and then the way you finished your answer was, well, he's not getting any feedback from the woman in his life, which is a feminine thing to say because you're a woman, which is fine. From what I would say from a man is that he isn't filling himself up, right? So he's not filling those buckets up first, right? So how does that hit you when I give you feedback of how does this man feel like he's connecting with his wife, or what do you feel is going on with him energetically?
Well, it's kind of what you said. It's like kind of lost and untethered. So it's kind of hard to feel what he's most wanting, and what's going to give him the energy he's looking for right now.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. Well, what does it do for a woman when he knows what he wants?
Well, that's like, there's been talk this week about aliveness, and there's when a man is not pushing down what he wants, but really being clear on what it is, even knowing in the face that he's not getting it. There's an aliveness in his body that is compelling and attractive. And I see that energy as a way to breach like gaps between a couple, even when there's been years of miscommunication.
That energy, that's phenomenal. We'll get into that, of what that energy is. It's not even necessary. It's certainly not trying to logic our way through it. It may not even be in words.
Yeah.
It's the energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. So I'd love for you to honor our chat, and I'm going to bounce over to Esther Perel. We're using this one longer clip that we've curated this week, and I want to share right now of this energy that we've been talking about. Okay, a lot of it starts with communicating from our own point of view and not considering the third entity, not in the two of us, the we frame of mind. And that's what Esther is going to talk about right now for about 1.5 minutes, for 90 seconds, and then we'll honor the chat. Here we go right now.
And this couple basically has been really stuck around the doing of it. And the doing and the performing of it hasn't really worked so well for them. And so here is what I say to them.
I do feel like all of our conversations, you get very defensive. That like I'm trying to say something negative about you, but I'm not. I'm trying to just tell you sort of my view on it. It doesn't mean it's right. It's just what I feel.
So here's the way you can tweak that. She already told you, I was doing something that didn't feel good, but I was doing it for you. So when you talk to her, include that. Neither you liked it nor I liked it, and then it becomes a we statement. That's what I mean by integrating the experience of the other.
Okay.
And then she can do the same. Here I was, trying to be nice and to please you. Little did I know that wasn't even what you wanted. And then you can say, that's not the woman I remember, so then she doesn't have to say that's not who I am. And then it's less polarized. Then you're not talking from the extremes. The minute you put yourself on the extreme, the other person will defend themselves.
What do I have to do different in the way I communicate? What do I have to do different?
That's a beautiful question, first of all.
So there's a couple amazing things there. As soon as we put ourselves on the extremes, like you never do this, or I can't trust you, right? Or you've always done this kind of bad thing and I'm criticizing that or I have contempt for that, then it puts the other person on the defensive. A gentleman I was speaking with yesterday, that's one of his bad habits that we're breaking right now. So he says he can't trust her and she never calms down. She never is present with him. And so if I come from that place, gentlemen, if you're saying she never does this, you wouldn't want her to say that about you. You'd hate that if she said that about you. I experienced that in the past of I was always angry. It was all my fault. I never listened to her. I hated that, of course. And so careful where you are using your words, even if things are really contentious right now, even if you're separated right now, or she's in fuck you mode like some of the guys, or she's up and down, she's in and out like the tide, the ebb and flow of the tide, or she's all over the place sometimes. We definitely don't want to use those grandiose, generalizing words. Cynthia, how does that hit you when, first of all, a woman is in that place where she is using those words with a man, right? And what's an attractive way that he can handle that situation to the best of his ability? And we're going to get into some body language, some being funny and cocky. I have a video on that from the Fearless gentleman today we're going to get into later. But how does that come across to you if she or he are in that place of just generalizing completely? What's going on between the connection between the two of them, and how maybe can he handle that in a positive way?
Yeah, well, so if I was to say, though, the woman is overgeneralizing, I think she's feeling that in that moment, that it's always this way, and that it's, she feels that every experience that has happened is building up on each other. So when she's talking about this whole range of experience. And I think gentlemen have a better skill at compartmentalizing experiences. So it isn't always. It's like, well, it was these 2 times as opposed to these other 5 times that went really well. When you set boundaries for the health of the relationship space between you and state, it is not okay for us to, to generalize when there are times that it hasn't always been that way. It is okay for you to set boundaries. Like, I want the health of our relationship to move forward. And when there are generalizations, it doesn't allow for growth. It doesn't allow for the space that there are shifts and changes. And ultimately, you are reaching a part of her pie, her relationship needs of, this is something that moves forward. It's not stagnant. It's not it's not bricks just piled on top of each other.
So we can't just fix everything and have it the same and go on autopilot, is what you're saying? We have so that's one thing that we, work on in the show, guys, is to have the skills of that. And what I loved what you said there was, here's my vision. So as a man, you can come to her, here's my vision for where we're going in this chapter of life. And it's not okay to, as you say, dump swamp water into our relationship bucket here. And one of those ways of dumping swamp water is to say the words like always, like I've always done this. And what I would ask as a man is, tell me what's underneath that. Remind me, please, of a scenario when that happened and what's underneath that for you. Now, the goal is for her to open up and share and to dive in the pool with you. If she shuts you down and if it's, I've told you 100 times about this, I'm not talking about this again, and she storms away, right? Well, what do we do then? And I want to get into the reality, guys. So I'm going to face the dragon right now, which is there are some men on here right now that the relationship may not turn around, where she's decided that she's closed off. Either she's closed off physically, sexually, or she's decided that you're the bad guy, like happened with me in the past, and you're wearing the pirate costume, you're the bad guy, and I'm not changing my mind about that. That where you may have to move forward with the knowing that you have to be okay, that you are going to be okay, even if divorce happens. And that decision, that echelon, gives her the possibility of letting go of her perceptions of you as that pirate. right? But if you keep hanging on, if you're white knuckle gripping on her ankle, and that isn't going to allow her to see you in a different light. Okay. So I want to dive into some shit right now. I'm going to share the screen of a Psychology Today article. This gentleman's a PhD in psychology, over 30 years experience and family therapy. He's, there's his credentials at the top there. He's been on the Today Show. He has multiple books. He's been on CBS. And he says, his name is Jeffrey Bernstein. He says, the key to overcoming toxic thoughts, being determined to look for and then dwell on your partner's positive qualities and behaviors, is the key to overcoming toxic thoughts about him or her. So like we talk about, holding high regard in your mind. Happy, satisfied couples that do not get bogged down in toxic thoughts have a better, more realistic, and healthy way of thinking about each other. It is this way of thinking that enables such couples to improve communication, solve problems, and enhance romance. This true foundation for a happy relationship this elusive secret to your success can only be found or built in one place, in your mind. Okay, so that high positive regard can only start from one place, in your own mind. The opening poster here, how he's talking about he feels lost and lonely. And one of the responses in the forum that was phenomenal was, that's a story in his own mind. And there can be many causes to that, his mindsets of that we talk about on the show. But that story is in his mind, right? So here's what I want to point out is this PhD in clinical psychology, Jeffrey Bernstein, says, let me add, you did not get into your relationship to be treated poorly, ignored, or abandoned. Being abused or denigrated, subject to reckless spending, deprived of a sex life, or forced to put up with problematic, immature behavior is not what I'm asking of you. If this is occurring in your relationship, your partner needs to make major changes. Individual and couples counseling may be needed, and if your partner will not cooperate with counseling, you need to face the fact that he or she will probably never change, and then decide to try living with him or her the best you can, or move on to a new and hopefully more satisfying relationship. I am all for trying to save relationships, but in the face of repeated hurts and insensitivity, it may be best to move on. So I've got a video from Mark Groves about this as well. We are here to show up for the relationship. We are here to be that man that can fertilize the garden and give the environment of having a phenomenal relationship. And we're never asking someone to stay in a sexless marriage or in an emotionally abusive marriage where she is in like fuck you mode for the rest of time, right? Mm-hmm. So when I read that, first of all, it's sobering, right? It's sobering that maybe this relationship will end, and it's fucking real. Like, I wanted to share this because this is reality. We're not just here to show you one side of the coin. We're here to show you both sides of the coin so you can be that amazing man in the world regardless, which is the groundwork to start version 2.0 with her, or to have another phenomenal relationship with another woman, right? So when I say those things, and when I say that as a man, and I'm grounded in that belief within myself, how does that affect you as a woman? How does that affect you even personally in our relationship, which I've shared that we're phenomenal together now. And if it happens that in the future we grow to want completely different things, that would be sad. But if the relationship needs to end in that case, then that's something that we can face in the future.
Well, so there's like two levels of that, right? It was asking in general, and I was relating to my experience in the past. And then that was like a deeper one, which is a little like, there's a weird, I spoke before about the energy of aliveness, and I experience in a man the alive energy when he is very clear again of what he's wanting, of the kind of relationship he's wanting to cultivate, and what he's willing to do for that, what he's willing to draw his line in the sand for. And if you and women are holding that space of like, this is so important, and I'm so willing to stand in this truth for me, for the woman I'm with, and I'm not going to compromise that for this current situation. That again is something that can pull breath and life back into the relationship that you're in. It can also stop the like push a woman might be having with you. Like, you know, we as humans, if someone's like, I want you, please be here, there's sometimes we can kind of push up against that, be like, feel kind of powerful that we're receiving that energy, and we can kind of go like this to it. So you're dropping the rope of that kind of push pull between you. And I also think that has incredible opportunity to transform relationships.
Very well said. That's awesome.
Yeah. And what I liked in a conversation with you before is having multiple times in a relationship of, you know, different kind of ceremony or commitment.
Yeah.
And that each time, whether you've been married for 20 years or together for 4 years, that each time you're deciding, am I recommitting to this life and this path with this person? And I love with you that energy of always moving forward, always growing is there. And to me, that's more important than cut in stone, concrete certainty.
Yeah, phenomenal. And I look forward to rituals ongoing in the relationship and growing together. It's one of our values. It's one thing that we appreciate within our relationship together. And I honor that so much. And the way you honor that is inspiring for me as well as a man. I love that. Yeah. So if something is not possible, if you're running up against this and you've been doing your work for, let's say, a year, men ask me that question, what's the time frame? And I say, you know, anything less than a year to me feels like that you're not committed to being this new man that you want to be. There's time, you have to have the phase of stop fucking up, of growing yourself as a man. And then when you're not attached to the version 1 any longer of the relationship, when you know who you are, what your values are, you can fire these values and your nuts and your boundaries off the cuff to either other men or in a connecting way to her. Then you're ready for the ask phase of coaching and this work. And I say give all of that a year, right? Some men, it might take more if you're entrenched in deeper, if she has deeper trauma or there's deeper trauma in the relationship, right? And some men may not want to give it 1 year, and that's their prerogative. That's totally fine. But if you're thinking this is going to turn around in 3 weeks, you know, it's like, that's not how this works. It's not how relationships, if you've been doing work for 3 weeks and then you feel like it's time to start asking her and putting, you know, demands on her, you're looking at this wrong. All right, guys? So I'm hoping that you on the show understand that it's not about, well, I've been reading this one book and therefore she should now do X, Y, Z. That's not how this works. Like, you got to fucking take charge of growing your roots for a while before you expect to ask anything specific of her. Would you honor our chat? And I want to share this video from Mark Groves about this, please.
Yeah, well, Tim, I appreciated your honesty that some of the things that you hear are, why do you always need me to explain why you're a dick? And I appreciate you sharing that part of your story, because I know that there are other gentlemen who hear that as well. And Jason had a great comment to say, because I'm not the one telling your story, tell me more about when you think I'm being a dick. I want to know where you're coming from. And I think that just seemed like a great energetic ninja move to take something.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump in. I agree with that. So why do you need to explain why you're being a dick? Okay. She doesn't know why you're coming across that way to her. She doesn't know how to answer that. So you're asking a question that she doesn't know how to answer. Okay. And explain is a logical word. And so to Jason's point, you want to ask about her emotional experience. So when you feel like I'm being a dick, what do you experience in your body? Is it like disgust? You just fucking hate me in that moment? Like, what happens for you? Like, that's what I would say. Right. So to Jason's point, because I'm not the one telling your story, yeah, I want to know where you're coming. So I'd even be more specific. What's the emotion? Like, where you're coming from, that's your point, Jason, right? Is like, and you can give examples. If you ask her and she's not giving you answers, you guess. Like, is it you fucking hate me in that moment? Like, you think I'm the worst piece of shit in the world? Is it like, God, why is he like this? You start to say 3 things that you could guess a little bit and then shut up, right? She'll probably open up. This has been my experience in my personal relationship and when I coach men, is if she's shutting down, then you give 3 guesses and then you shut up. Like 1, 2, 3, and then shut up. She'll probably start opening up at that point. If not, that's fine. Don't press in, press pause, try it another time, go to the men, post in the forum, ask me, have a consultation with us, go to your small group coaching, right? Take it to the men at that point if that's not working out well, if she's not opening up. But that's one behavioral tactic. That's one way to have confidence in what to do, is that example I just gave. Okay, so let me jump over to, Jason says, yes, definitely. I agree totally, Jason. Let me jump over to Mark Groves. Again, we're still at the fucking bottom of the pool here. We're diving like we took a big breath and we dove in. And now I promise we're going to jump up with a perspective and a plan of what to do in a positive way, how to come across as like sexy and funny and like actually attempt to grow passion and intimacy and connection. I promise you we're going to share that fearless video. But I want to it's 75 more seconds of Mark Groves of, well, what do I do if she's just not going to come to me? If the relationship looks like it's over, how do I perceive that? What's my mindset then? I'll share this right now.
When we're in codependent relationships, there's this opportunity for us. As soon as one person goes, hey, fuck this. Like, I've never pursued my dreams. I don't even know who the fuck I am. Fuck you. I'm out of here. I blame you. You're an asshole. And the other person goes, holy shit, I didn't even know. Like, I didn't do it. I didn't mean to. Did I do this? Can I help? Can we go to therapy? Can we do all this stuff? And what occurs is that the other person you're changing the relational agreements, which you're allowed to. And the other person is going, hey, like, invite me along in the journey. And the other person goes, I don't want to. I don't want to because I dislike you, I resent you, and that's the beginning of the unfolding, and it's actually a tremendous moment because what's happening is both people are saying, I forgot about me, now what do I do? And so there can be a lot of repair. Sometimes people need to break up in those situations to then rediscover who they are, and they might go on to another relationship, but they also might recreate a second relationship together from a different place, which is really beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, and so I love how he honors, and I would love your feedback, Cynthia. I love how he honors, we've got to start there. We've got to start with the understanding of what's going on, right? Which we do on this show. That's why you guys are on the show, to do your daily work here. And then be willing to have your own life, be willing to look at this in a different way, okay? And then that's the fertile ground for potentially starting something new. How does that feel?
I can't imagine like being able to breathe any other way. We all know when something's not going well. And I think it's the trying to push things down and keep going in the same vehicle that we've always driven in before. It could be exhausting. It can feel like you feel like a loss of purpose and mission. It can make life feel like you're kind of in shades of gray, going to work, coming home, without this idea that anything can change. It really is stepping out of the current vehicle, looking at the road, and being willing to jump into the truck next door, the Jeep next door, the Mustang, whatever you want your forward energy to be. That's when you get to breathe again, and the wind's in your hair, and it's incredible to be going on a road knowing that you're moving forward. You don't always know what's coming up around the bend, and yet there are always new things coming up around the bend, new ideas, new thoughts, new tools that you just didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, and that's so magical in life and in relationship. I love that. Very cool. Awesome. So let's kick up off the bottom of the pool, guys. Tomorrow is Friday, of course. I want you to bring more specific questions tomorrow. I'd love for more gentlemen, you guys, to talk and share and bring up instances tomorrow. So, you know, today we've been a lot more presenting, which is awesome and we love to do. And we want you to share more questions or share more situations tomorrow. So please feel empowered to do that. I know you want me to get into this video, so I'm going to right now. Here's to honor is the title screen. And I curated, Cynthia found this video and I've curated a few specific pieces from it. And we'll honor the chat before we get off our call today. But I'm going to jump in right now to this Fearless video on how to be cocky in a good way.
So welcome to this video. This is the second video in the series on how subtleties ruin attraction. And I've got the beautiful Aria with me today.
Hello.
And she's going to be helping me take a look at cockiness today. The last video was on neediness and how guys use neediness to try to manipulate women into giving them validation. And I played with some of the eye contact that guys use and the feelings and the emotions guys use to try to pull that validation out of women. And it was a lot of fun to do. Make sure to check that video out. Now, with that said, in this video, we're going to take a look at cockiness. Cockiness is not bad in and of itself. It can work. Some girls really like a slightly cocky guy, and even a heavily cocky guy. But what we're going to look at is when cockiness kind of goes wrong, or when it pushes a girl back, or how it could push a girl back. If a woman is very open and very sweet, she doesn't like cockiness, and you come in cocky, you're going to blow her out. If she's a little insecure, she thinks maybe you're a good-looking guy, and you come in too cocky, because that, you know, if you're the better looking you are, the less cocky you probably want to be, then you can blow a girl out. And what happens is, as a guy comes in too cocky, it can be a little too much sometimes, and she's just like out of there. And that's basically what happens. So let's take a look at that now. Now, to understand this, let's just say I'm again, like in the first video, we need a baseline. So the baseline is just me enjoying Aria. And let's say I'm walking across the room, off camera, on camera, and I walk over to her and I'm just like, hey, what's up? How you doing?
Hi.
And this is my baseline. See, she grabbed my hand right away. That's a little bit of familiarity. She might not do that. She might do that in real life. You know, some girls do.
So I want to jump in. I'm going to share more, but I want to jump in. So you can assume that this is your partner in life. He's having high regard for this woman. This does not, she already knows him. You don't have to assume that this is like a cold approach where he's never seen this woman before, because this is a great example. He does know her, right? I don't know if they're sleeping together, it doesn't matter, but he has high regard in his mind when he approaches her. He's touching her hand. Watch how he touches her hand. Watch how she reacts to him. Now, he's also in a happy state here, guys. That's what I want you to see. This is just about a 5-minute interaction that he has with her. So if you want to practice with your woman, even if she's separated, you probably wouldn't get this close if she's, you know, if you're already divorced. But if you want to practice with your woman, even if things aren't going amazingly well, all he's doing is approaching and talking with her for maybe 5 minutes. So you can adjust the proximity to be appropriate for you. You can adjust the amount of touching that he's doing, okay, that's appropriate for you. But you absolutely can, and I would suggest you try these things with your spouse. Absolutely. Here we go. I'll go back to it right now.
Some girls are great jumpers.
It depends on.
And so I would say hi, and we would have a nice chat. Why? Because I didn't bring any cockiness. I just brought openness. My heart's open. So if I look at her right now, you can feel this warmth if you really pay attention, this connection. Now I'm going to start to slowly move into a more cocky energy as I'm standing here. Hey, what's up? How you doing? And see how she's doing this. She's almost matching me.
Yeah.
Can you feel how she raised her head too? And so what am I doing? I'm raising my head just a little bit, looking down at her a little, and then I'm pushing back with the energy from my chest rather than receiving. And I'm almost calling her out. I'm saying, what's up? It's kind of like, have you ever seen gang members when they walk down the street? Hey, what's up? You know, they overdo it. With a girl, you can do it just a little bit. You can be like, hey, what's up? And right there is a little push.
Yeah.
And she feels it. And what's your response to guys that do that?
It depends. of a lot of stuff, but usually I tend to be more cautious to how I speak with a guy.
And I'm staying in the energy, by the way.
Yeah, I can feel that. Yeah, usually my tendency would be like to back a bit off to see like exactly what I said, to see the intentions.
Do you ever flirt with or play with a guy that's doing this and like
Definitely,
give him a little shit back?
If it doesn't come way too aggressive, yeah, definitely. I'll like enter the play.
So if a guy walks up and is like, "Hey, you look like trouble. What's your name?"
I don't want to tell you.
Oh, you're gonna play difficult, huh?
Yeah.
I like that. Play difficult. Come on, you can do it.
Yeah, I'll play difficult and just leave.
Yeah.
That's it.
You're still here.
Yeah, I know. Do you want me to actually leave?
So do you see what happens there? Do you see that's like a push against her? And what happens is some girls actually like that. And if you get a girl that likes that, how's she gonna be? Hey, what's up? You look like trouble.
I'm gonna just like stay here.
We're gonna have a little bit of a duel for a bit. And then what happens is if a guy's smart, at a certain point, when you've earned her respect because you've dueled well, then you can drop it and be like, hey, what's up? And you can actually start to connect, and it actually drops in nicely.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay, so they're huge at the end. If there's contention in your relationship, and or she liked the cocky guy you were when you met 10, 15, 20 years ago, and you've lost all that cockiness, but she actually wants that. So if you come in cocky and she likes it, or she's challenging you because she's like, really, who's this guy? I haven't seen this guy for 15 years. She's going to have a little bit of a duel or a little bit of like, oh, really kind of attitude. And you see what he said was, you stay in it, and he's playful with it. Earlier on, he said, oh, I like it when you're hard to get. Right? I like it when you're hard to get. And you don't give up right away, right? You don't tuck your tail. And then he said, if you're smart, then you drop the cockiness and you open your heart more and you become more vulnerable. Right? See, Cynthia likes more of the open-hearted vulnerability than the cockiness. She wasn't really responding to my cockiness very much there. But it depends on your woman, right? So that I again, if she likes it or she's in a challenging mood, it's not like she's going to be feminine right away. Okay? If she wants kind of challenge, or she wants to see where is this going to go because I haven't seen this for 10 years, she's going to stay in there and play. So you have to be able to play a little bit and stay connected and not become angry or not be attached to an outcome. If you think she's going to swoon and give you like a blowjob on the spot, like this is, that's not, that's not how this is going to go, right? So your only goal is practicing yourself. Your goal is you. Your goal isn't to get a particular reaction from her. All right, I've got a couple more spots I pulled out. Let me fast forward a little bit here. Let me jump ahead, fast forward. Yeah, like we're actually using a tape. It's funny. Let me jump forward a little bit here. I've got 2 more spots that are less than 1 minute, and I'll ask for Cynthia's feedback, and we'll come to the cliffhanger end of our show, and we'll pick up where we left off tomorrow. So here, let me show a little bit more.
Cockiness in a nutshell. Anything you want to add to that?
It's very sexy when guys do this, but as you said, with a limit. When they overdo it, it's like,
yeah, it's almost like it's better when you're just playing with it. If they really think you are cocky, that's just who you are, and you don't know better, that's a problem. Okay. Now to get out of it, notice the head comes back. Usually, most cases, cockiness is here. To get out of it, you lower the head a little bit, and then you got to relax in the chest and let your heart open. You got to actually literally get a little more vulnerable. You got to let her see you having some more emotion. And then the same lines, you look like trouble, feel very different.
Yeah, definitely. It's playful and cocky a bit, but like still I feel this warmth.
Yeah.
So like, this openness.
Because with my eyes, I'm saying I like you. And let me see, I want to see one more thing.
Okay, so with your eyes, he's saying he likes her. He dropped his chin down. He's not trying to be as pushy and with his energy or cocky. He's relaxed and more vulnerable and open to being nervous. We'll share some more of his stuff as we go into the future. One of his big things is it's okay to feel nervous and still move into the space. That's endearing to her, that she wants to know that you're attracted to her. She wants to know that you're a human, not a robot. Okay, and your eyes, like he said, is that you like her, and you're open and you're here with her. And it's not cocky as much as you're here with her. Okay. All right, here we go. The last about 60 seconds, and then we'll bounce out.
We're going to try this on camera. I didn't think about trying this. So we're going to try it right now. And I'm looking at you, and I'm going to try to get cocky without raising my head. So you look like trouble.
Thank you.
Okay, how does that feel?
I kind of like it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Because I'm looking into you. There's a little cocky. So it kind of works. Okay. So we got one that might work a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to invite you guys to play with that a little bit and notice the subtleties in this stuff. The littlest changes in energy and where you're feeling in your body have an effect on the human being in front of you. So again, if you're working online with saying the right words, that's really not the problem. There is no right words. It's who you're being when you talk to her. And that's what it really boils down to. Matter of fact, I could say almost anything. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And it can still work.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah, true.
Because what I'm conveying when I talk to her is way more important than the words.
There we go. Cynthia liked that last one, the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Yeah, she liked that one. I'll share that link here in a moment. Yeah, Cynthia, give me some feedback, please, in the last 1 or 2 minutes of our show here of what he was doing, what he was expressing, how she was reacting to it, please.
The confidence a man exudes is, to me, it's everything about heart and groundedness. It doesn't have to be everything's all figured out up here. It doesn't have to be everything's figured out between the space between you two. I think it's that incredible combination that you all carry of solid groundedness and this powerful energy that comes here. And that's what I saw in that video, and that's why it made me like laugh when he was like doing supercalifragilistic, because it really isn't about the words are not as important as that energy that you bring forth. And whether you're bringing it to your spouse, to the person in the checkout line, there's something very special that you carry in your ability to do that. I practice being grounded as a woman, but I cannot emulate that kind of energy, and that makes me in profound honor to men. So
I love that. Thank you for honoring who we are as men. We don't see that a lot of places in the world, so I really appreciate you being here from me and for the guys on the show. Thank you so much. Cynthia, let's go ahead and honor our men for today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here today. And I know a couple gentlemen who were in the chat had to jump off. Thank you for what you're sharing, and thank you for being here, Walters and Tim, Rob, Randy, thank you for being here, and Patrick and Kent. It's so good to see your face, and Joseph and Jason, Ian, Dave, and Brett. Ruben was here as well, so thank you so much.
Yeah, fantastic. Love you guys. This has been the C-Note Show, brought to you by Great Men Move Mountains and greatmenmovemountains.com. We have one spot left on our daytime brand new small group, our men's group coaching group titled Relaunch. There's one spot left in that. If you're curious about that, it's economical, it's powerful. We use all of our one-on-one tools, including healing spiritual wounds, sexual wounds. We're going to be getting into more of how to be this sexually attractive man, this energetically attractive man within that small group as well. We are going to have Jason Bradbury and Andy Malloy, if they're available, to come in and guest within the 6 months of that program. So if you're curious about that, hit us up directly or go to greatmenmovemountains.com/relaunch. Otherwise, if you're not able to do a daytime and you're more interested in an evening one, we're starting to wait list for our next small group, which will be in an evening. So go to the same greatmenmovemountains.com/relaunch. Read the information, put in your stuff, tell us what you're looking for, and we'll wait list you for our next one that'll go in the evening. We're starting our daytime one here in 2 weeks from now, and there's one spot left for that. So hit us up if you're curious about that or if you want to say, I'm in. All right, guys? Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, and I wish you a good rest of your day.
See you guys tomorrow, Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain.
Whose heart is sunshine, whose body burn hot. I'ma tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves that she cares and it's lovely.